All right, art log number 10. So today, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna check my last video real quick. I should have done this before I started recording, right? But I just got so much going on in my brain. So, oh man. All right, so this is gonna be probably one of the most transitional art logs I upload because, God, my last October was a really good month for me. Let's just say that. I finally started using reference, which is something that I was battling with myself whether or not I wanted to do it, or not, because for me, I and obviously, I still have a long way to go. I'm not some kind of like transcended artist now just because I use reference. But as you can see, like some things are starting to get a little better. Definitely the posing. Like I'll hide the reference real quick and drag it down where the other references are. So these are some of the references I've been using for some of my drawings for the November 8th tab. So this is the first one I had done. Like it's pretty cool looking in my opinion. And maybe I'm just really biased, right? Like obviously there's things that that I can improve with both. With all drawings, any drawing that's ever made, there's always something that the artist knows they could have probably done better. If not, if it isn't when they do it, it's probably by the next day. That's why people probably take a step back, after making a drawing and look at it again the next day and it looks completely different. It's because when you've been looking at something, like you guys probably see the flaws in these drawings already, right? Whereas like for me personally, it would take probably a day or if not like two. And that's because, I basically have a mental bias looking at these. So I'm gonna go ahead and go over my drawings back to the beginning of October. So, okay, so let me see, October. Let's see, open, because in the month, basically, so in the month of October, I wanted to focus more on my shading. Maybe trying to get my shading better and try to focus more on how my drawings look, because whenever I talk to Berserk about them, which is one of my really good friends, he's always telling me like, yeah, you need darker darks and lighter lights. So I was like, okay. So I came up with this drawing. This was supposed to be like Darktober. This is what I challenged myself to do, which was basically where I used the darkest possible dark and the whitest possible white, and just try to mix them into one drawing and have really good contrast or whatever. At least that's what the plan was. Now if you look at it now, like it's like but that's just me being an artist, right? I don't think anybody's ever really satisfied with their current art style or how far they've taken their art in general. So yeah, so this was October 2nd, and this is also before I started using reference. So around this time I'm still using, and it's gonna show really like big. Like I don't know what word I would use for that, but you're gonna see it. So as I started trying to do more different poses, I didn't want every drawing to look the same. I didn't want like every pose to look the same, like the shoulder high. That's mainly why I moved from the shoulder high drawings, is because they all started to look the same. There wasn't really anything that I could tweak as far as shoulders and the position of the head, right? There's only so many different things you can do with those, and I think those are called busts. But like even with the bust, like that's chest up to the head. So it really sucks not scripting, whatever. But with this one, I tried to do a different pose, just kind of have something different. As you can see, like there's a lot of things that are noteworthy mistakes, but I won't, throw myself under the bus too hard, right? It's something that I'm trying to work towards making better, and it really just comes down to like, if you're at my level of understanding an art, and this isn't trying to make me, this isn't me trying to make myself seem like I'm some like god artist, right? I'm saying like, for anybody that's on my level trying to find themselves in their art and trying to push themselves, or like regardless of how good you can draw, right? It's like, if you're pushing yourself right now and you're not using reference, start using reference for sure. Like I wish I could tell myself that. And I watched plenty of videos that told me, like, hey, use reference, use reference. Even Berserk told me, use reference, but I never really wanted to. And this is where it started to suffer, where I started to suffer with my drawings as I tried to push different poses without reference. So as you can see, like, they just started looking really awkward, and I noticed that. Even if my design looked a little cool, you know, it really doesn't show because of the awkward posing and proportions of the body and stuff like that. So in a couple days, actually, I started using some more drawing references. Basically, I started using reference on the 16th, so we're slowly but surely getting there. So that was the 5th, and then this is another one. Like I said, like, I thought that the design was pretty cool looking in some parts, you know. I really liked the helmet so much. I feel like the helmet is probably the best part of this whole drawing. But then as I, you know, got to other parts, it's like, oh crap, like, how do I draw this from this angle? And then I think there's something that I do when I start panicking and I start randomly just drawing lines in the armor. Like, you can see, like, all right, I'm like, at this point, I'm like, yo, what do I, like, what did I draw? How do I fill this space? You know, I don't really, how do I fill this space without it looking like every other robotic armor? I've never really been a fan of the whole tube thing. Like, as you can see, there's a tube right here. I've never been a real fan of that because I feel like it's just a point of vulnerability, right? Like, the whole part of a robot is to be, like, basically less vulnerable than a human, right? If you look at a robot and you automatically see a weak point, that's almost a flaw in your design. Not in your design, like, what am I saying? Like, in real life, you wouldn't have some combat robot running around with fucking wires hanging off of his shoulder that scream to an enemy like, hey, if I just cut those wires, that robot's just dead, you know. Or like a battery pack that's like exposed, you know. Like, I don't know, it's things like that. Like, and obviously, like, from a game point, like a game perspective, right, you want those weak points to be noticeable by the players, you know, whether it's glowing or just some, like, big, you know, some big glowing thing on dual armor. Or like if you think about Destiny, right, if you look at the Vex, right, you shoot them in the head and it's like, and this happens probably, it only takes a little bit for the player to notice, like, okay, this is obviously not something that you can shoot in the head and it'll stop. Because the second you shoot the Vex in the head, even though the Vex have this big giant head, you notice, like, okay, that motherfucker's still moving. Like, there's something else that I need to be shooting. And then you look around and you're like, oh, there's this big glowing core on his stomach. Let me shoot that and see what happens. You shoot that and they explode into, like, white goo. No homo. And then and that's just how, like, you know, that's how. So when I draw things, I don't necessarily draw them from, like, a game perspective, right? Like, if I were designing a robot, I want that robot to look fucking invulnerable. Like, I don't want people to look at it and be like, okay, that's the spot that I'm gonna hit. So, like, I wasn't really a fan of the whole core thing, but don't get me wrong, they look really cool. Like, it screams, hey, this is a robot, or hey, this is a diver, or hey, this is an astronaut, you know. Sometimes those things are needed, but, like, an astronaut wouldn't have to worry about, you know, some guy cutting off his tube or whatever. So, like, I guess tubes aren't really that bad. I mean, especially if they're made out of carbon fiber. It just and in a see, I'm stretching myself very thin with this video, but in a fantasy setting, you can come up with whatever material to justify your means, right? Like, for all you know, like, this robot could have some kind of stretchy titanium steel material, and obviously I don't have any background knowledge on metals and stuff, but that's kind of how that works, you know. You just, like mithril, right? Like, mithril's known to be this really light and really strong material, and that's why, you know, some guy can have a chest plate that's literally dwarfing his whole body, because, I mean, it's fantasy, you know. His armor is enchanted and it weighs nothing, but it's stronger than the Titanic, unless it's you know, hit by an ice spell. But I'm not gonna go off trying to make jokes about the Titanic. That's not my thing. Even though I just, oh no. Okay, so that was October 5th. So we're gonna move on to October 6th. This is another case. I tried to do some like jumping guy. I even called it like Jumpy Boy. It just really didn't work. You know, I really didn't like where these things were starting to go. So at this point, I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to start using some reference eventually. Like I at that point, I just noticed it because if I go back to like drawings like let me see, like this, I thought that this was completely fine. It's just maybe I needed to work on proportions a little bit. And now looking back on it, you know, there's a lot that I could have done differently. As far as like proportions and just to make the whole thing way more readable. It looks like his, you know, right shoulder is kind of like dislocated, or like, I don't know, like it's, anyways. So the next one is October 11th. So this is another one. I tried to do like some guy running, and here's another example. Like the tube, I made it like with these bright little LEDs on it, so that it like, if you thought about it from the player's standpoint, or like if this were a video game enemy, right? The main thing that I would probably do is dim down the highlights all over his armor and brighten these. That way, like if your character's using a slash weapon, it's like, all right, go for the legs, and then boom, you hit the legs. The tube like starts like flying everywhere, something, and like, you know, it basically, you know, it basically stops his movement, or stops electric. Like imagine it as a power suit, and that's the power cord that connects his battery to his legs, but his battery is under armor, so the only way is to cut off the circuit or whatever. I'm not really an electrician guy, but like I'm pretty sure you guys get what I'm saying here. If anybody's watching, at least. So yeah, I tried to implement that there a little bit. So, and I think like when it came to me making this video, like I knew it's been so long since my last one, so I'm just gonna have so much stuff to just go over. It's ridiculous, but okay. So, and this is October 8th. This is another one of those cases where it was like a really cool idea to me. And I just, you know, I started noticing that, okay, like I really should probably listen to Berserk now. I've gotten to the point where I don't want my designs to be so held back by the fact that my guy's arm looks like it's taken the elbow off his other arm to extend the arm, and like who know, like I don't fucking know yet. Next thing you know, I end up with a like Enderman looking character, you know, like when it's supposed to be a human. So and I don't want this to be me just flaming my old art. Like I try to make sense of it, right? Like I don't want to point back at it and be like, huh, I was just an idiot. Like I want to explain why, you know, I did that or did this, and learn from it. That's the main thing that I'm trying to do, and keep it in mind. So after I did all those drawings, I was like, okay, how am I going to start using more like, I want there to be more movement, or I wanted to mess around with more movement, and I realized that like all the drawings that I've ever made were only in like some like 3D space that wasn't like defined, you know. So through this is my first sketch telling myself like, okay, I want to move into some compositions, you know, just, and I know it's a big jump when I barely understand anatomy, right? But I feel like if I jump into that and I push myself hard enough, I'll start to pick up things that I would have never noticed before, even if they do look a little janky. And through this, I kind of, there's this guy called I forget his name, but he analyzes some of Riot Games animations, and through animations, it's a good way to learn like how things move and how you would draw them moving. I think animation is a perfect example of like where you can learn how something would look, if it, like how things are exaggerated. Like if you look even at some of Riot's character models for their champions, some like Pantheon. I saw a breakdown for Pantheon. Like sometimes when he die or something like that, his neck would stretch out to like give the motion. It's so weird. Like I can't really explain it, but I think his name is like TB Skyam or something like that. Or let me see, TB Skyam. Yep, TB Skyam. He does a lot of animation breakdowns, and it's really informative. It's so helpful. Like, and if anyone's watching that's not an artist ever, you know, I don't get many viewers on these videos at all, but these are basically for me to look back on, and you know, take my own advice here and there. If you're like a music producer, or you want to be a music producer, listen or watch other music producers react to music. Some of them will just give the head nods, I noticed, but like others will like pause the video and actually break down the sounds that you're hearing and like what methods are being used, and like explain why they're pretty cool and how build-ups work and stuff like that. It's the same thing with art. Like I like to watch people break down animations, because it directly benefits how I can maybe draw things with motion in them. I didn't use reference for this obviously, but I tried to get something here. So yeah, that was just like a 5-minute sketch. I believe I didn't really try to knock myself out with that one. I just wanted to do something for that day. Like that was just October 12th. It'd been 4 days since my last, or no, 1 day since my, alright, whatever. I just didn't want that day to go by without me drawing something. So so let me see. Okay, so here we are at October 13th. So I just did a whole bunch of crystal drawings. So the reason why I did this is because I bought a book that has a whole bunch of just, it's like a nature visual book, and I wanted these sketches to be more like, I wanted, whenever I draw rocks and minerals and stuff, I want them to be more educated. You know, I don't want them to be just some like random brushstroke. I want to understand why, or like what rock this is coming from, or like how formations actually work. That way, when I'm drawing, you know, characters and environments, especially rocky ones, I can actually draw things and have them somewhat believable, rather than just having a whole bunch of shaky lines and hills and, you know, stick trees and dead trees, because I don't know how to draw leaves. So that was the thought behind that. And then now we get to my first drawing with reference. So this was like, I was so proud with this. I still am, you know, it's my first reference drawing. I think I used, oh, I don't even have the reference in here, but let me see. Yeah, I tried to like mix those, but like it was just really satisfying just knowing that, okay, this isn't a joke. Like I should have been using reference way before this. So that's where I kind of noticed that. I'm gonna start speeding things up because this video is getting pretty long. It's getting up to 18 minutes. So yeah, okay. And then let's see, October 18th. So this is another one. It looks pretty flat. I think it's mainly because I still don't understand how the body tilts, but I did use reference for this one as well. But let me see if I have it. Oh no, booyah, that was my reference. So I kept certain things but tried to switch certain things out. I had a lot of fun making this. This was on the 18th, and if you guys notice, like there's always like day gaps in between. It's just, I'm still working on it, just motivating myself. I'm trying, well, what I'm doing right now is taking a break from gaming completely, because it's something that's just starting to get in the way of me, you know, being creative. As much as I want to play a game right now, you know, it's just trying to stay focused and remember what I want to do with my life, you know, and just try to stay focused. So here's another drawing. Here's a reference that I used for the one on the right. I mean, so that's the reference that I used for that, if you could tell. And then this is the one that I used for the right. So, oh wait. Okay, and then just move this. So yeah, that's the reference that I used right there. So yeah, I definitely think that using reference is starting to push me in a good direction, where I'm starting to understand exactly how to sketch, you know, from reference. It's helping so much, it's ridiculous. Okay, and here's October 19th. So this is a sketch that I did, another sketch without the colors. I mean, let's see, why is there still color on here? God, my layers are so messed up, man. Like, what? Okay, there we go. So there's the sketch, and then that's how it looks with color. Oh wait, I gotta go back and. So yeah, it's been 18 minutes. I'm already starting to get like tired of explaining everything. But yeah, I tried to mess around with some stuff with coloring a little bit with this. Very happy with how this came out, and this was my reference for that. So yep. Okay, so the next one is October 19th, or no, 22nd, which was, I don't know what happened with this. Like, I think this was just really like a hard reference for me. I could not figure out how to like do anything. Like I don't, like, some parts of it look fine to me, but like I don't know where I went wrong here, but like it just feels really awkward. I wasn't really happy with this one. I even went back and tried to tweak it a little bit, but it just didn't work. Yeah. Yeah, this is how it came out at first. So I was just like, all right, yeah, that's definitely not okay. I don't know what happened. I guess that was just an off day. So this is another one that I drew. So as you can see, like, I'm trying to move more. Those rock drawings helped a little bit, actually, or I'd say a lot. It's, you know, I could have definitely thrown some like shading in here, so like you can understand, okay, like this is this and that's that. But like I said, it's just a sketch. I didn't really look into it that much, and I used this for the reference. So I should really group all of these, man. What? That way, whenever I go back on these and look at them, I don't have to like guess like what was what, and start naming these things too. Damn it! All right, so this is my reference, and I really liked the running or movement. Like, I liked the motion in this. I really liked it. I don't know how to explain it yet. I don't know the words or the vocabulary to explain how it made me feel, but I tried to hide the leg behind a rock, but I don't think I did that too well here. Cause it's really hard to see, like, yeah, this. But overall, I think the drawing was pretty nice. I'm really happy with these. So let's see. So the 25th. So this was another one. Edgy boy right here, this one. And the reference that I used, God, this is probably one of my hardest drawings to do, actually. Like, it was just like, the reference was just like, I didn't even understand what I would make out of it, but I didn't want it to look too much like the reference. So here it is. So I mean, like, it was just, this was like the most edgy, like, yeah, it was, yeah. Let's see. So that was, I believe that was the 25th of October. This was another one that I did on the 26th, and each one of these took about an hour to do. So like a little bit more than an hour, maybe like 2 hours. So yeah. Okay, so and then this is another example too. This is actually one of my favorite, but at the same time one of my hardest ones to do, because the reference that I used here was this. And I really liked how this was a robot where like you look at him and there's almost no weak spots other than his legs. The legs are super thin. Like I would probably, like, if I saw this enemy in a game and like I'm shooting his upper body and nothing's happening, I'm gonna look directly at his legs and just start lighting those fuckers up. Cause just maybe, you know, like maybe, like, I don't know, like, yeah. So when I created this drawing, or this is the first one that I did actually, but like as you can see, like there's some kind of weird, it's just really strange. So I went with this, and there's still some parts of the body that I couldn't really nail. Like I couldn't put my finger on what the hell I was doing wrong. I still can't, like, yet. I hate saying can't, but I just don't know how yet. Yeah, so, and I wanted him to look like he had no weak spots. You know, I didn't want there to be cords. I didn't want there to be, you know, I just wanted this to be like some kind of mysterious, there's like floating plates around him. What do they do? And my theory for that was just like, these are parts of his armor that can detach and start reflecting bullets. And like, you know, they're like AI. Like, this is a robot that has multiple parts that communicate with each other. That like, all right, when the robot's getting shot at, like these plates just start coming off the armor and like reflecting bullets. So like, and I guess you could say, like, because I've said that, like a weakness for him would probably be some kind of liquid, like some kind of plasma or something. I mean, plasma is weakness for anything, right? But like something that would that can't be reflected necessarily. Like bullets can be, like, these plates are really strong, and the like material, whatever. So like these plates, like imagine the plates like flip, like floating in air, and like a bullet flies towards them, and the AI of that specific plate is so smart and advanced that it can flip it so precise, like it can flip it at just the right angle and just make the bullet like ricochet back to the shooter. That's basically the idea that I had behind this, even though this shit would never work in real life. Like, you know, I just thought that was pretty cool. So let's see. So that was the 26th. Here we are with the 28th. Another drawing that I tried to do for, you know, just do a pose, or like not a pose, but some kind of yeah, I don't know what my goal was here, but I just tried to make it like the camera like lower a little bit, but like that didn't work because how I drew him, like you can see things that are up, like you don't know, like the characters he looks like he's being viewed from like, wait, let me see, he looks like he's being viewed from like right here. Like if he were down like this, that would have maybe worked a little bit, or like, yeah, if he were lower, that would have worked. But with the camera being low, because I wanted the camera like a little closer to the ground, so the sun would be coming right over the root of that tree, and it just blasts a whole bunch of like sunlight all over the place, and like you could see the sun rays. But hey, you know, the idea is still there, right? So yeah. Let's see. October. Okay, so that was the 28th. October. Let's see. October, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. All right, I just felt really stupid just now. So getting to the most recent ones, which is November. So, well, actually, I'll stop the video here and save the November for my next. But here's just a glimpse of one of the drawings that I had at the start with November 8th. It's just, you know, just trying some stuff out. So yeah, I hope this video was informative. It's a 30-minute video. Hopefully I can bounce, you know, some things off in the future and still learn and remind myself of these things. And later.